Frequently asked question, how I got and stay lean without counting calories or macros. Nutrition eating tips. Alright, so sometimes to solve a problem, the best way is to reduce it to its most fundamental state first in order to get a basic understanding of what exactly we're dealing with here. When it comes to weight management, what we're dealing with really is energy balance. Energy inputs versus energy expenditure. One of the ways that we like to measure energy inputs from food is by the calorie. Different macronutrients, proteins, carbs, and fats, have different caloric values, and so it makes it very easy to categorize certain things by how much energy we get from them. There's a problem with this though. We begin to put emotional stock in given numbers of calories and macros for things when intuitively that number is of very little use. When you hear the weight of an object in pounds or kilograms, you have an intuitive sense of the heft of the thing, how heavy it actually is. But if I tell you, for example, that slice of bread is 140 calories, you have no idea how many minutes on a treadmill it's going to take you to walk that off, or how many sets and reps of a given weight it's going to take you to do. Can you make calories work? 100%. But I do something a little bit different, and that's what this video is about. First and foremost, I focus on type and amount of food. That essentially does what calories and macros do, except without placing any emotional value on a specific number. I start off with some basic heuristics. First of all, I never eat carbs without protein. I don't snack, I eat meals. What is a meal? I define a meal in this context as protein plus other. So what does that mean? It means a slice of bread by itself is not a meal. It means a bowl of rice by itself is not a meal. It means a piece of fruit by itself is not a meal. Those would all be snacks. A meal is protein plus other, as defined by my personal heuristic. So when I construct my meals, the first things that I think of are protein and fat content. Why protein and then fat? Because since I consume mostly animal protein sources, most of my fat content comes from that. You can still apply the same principles if you're a vegetarian or a vegan. What you would do, however, is you would pair, like, say for instance, your avocado with your tofu, or your add some peanuts to your rice protein, or whatever the case may be. But protein first, then fats. The next part of your meal composition is going to be your high satiety, mostly fibrous foods, so your fruits and vegetables, followed by any additional carbohydrates that you intend to eat, starting with the more fibrous types like your grains, moving on to your starches, and then finishing with your sauces and sugars and things of that nature. Alright, so now that we've talked about composition, let's talk about amount. A good rule of thumb to limit your maximum allowable size of a given thing is just use your fist. So how big of a steak am I going to get? Well, use your fist. For me, that's about 8 ounces. I really don't need more than that, even if it's something like protein in a given meal. This isn't peak performance, this is weight management. I definitely don't need more than a fist worth of rice or pasta in a single meal either. There are specific use cases, but remember, we're talking about weight management here, getting and staying lean. You do not need that much anything in one meal more than the size of your fist, protein or especially carbohydrate. Another key component of nutrient intake that people sometimes miss when they're focused on calories and macros is how digestion actually takes place. For the most part, our digestive tract isn't actually doing digestion, quote unquote, in terms of absorbing nutrients. Most of it is just mechanically breaking down the food, the bolus, into smaller and smaller portions, so that by the time it gets to our gut, to our intestines, the bacteria in there can actually do the lion's share of the digestion and the transfer of nutrients into us, the host organism. It's a key distinction to make, folks, that the GI tract, so your mouth, your esophagus, your stomach, these things, while they're a part of you, are largely mechanical versus the entirely biological, entirely biochemical process that your gut bacteria are doing. They're living things, and so Them digesting your food is action over time. One of the biggest mistakes people do with weight management is even if they're counting calories and they're in a deficit, they're constantly snacking. I look around when I'm out in the world, and most of the time, I don't see people not eat anything for more than an hour. Every hour, people are putting something in their mouth. They're giving their body something else to digest. They're just stacking food on food on food. Now, besides the insulin management, besides the blood glucose discussion, which is also relevant to weight management, you're just not giving your gut bugs, your little guys, enough time to digest everything. So that's one of the reasons why using the fist as a measuring unit, I'll eat a meal of that size and then just give it 2, 3, 4, 5 hours to get fully digested before I throw more food on top of there. A lot of the benefits that people tout from intermittent fasting, you can just get by not snacking and spending a meaningful period of time between meals, just drinking water and letting your food digest naturally. It's also a very useful psychological tool to kind of rewire your hunger reward mechanism to not expect food every time you have a dip in your mood. Emotional eating is kind of hardwired into our culture. Eating for reward, eating for relief from discomfort. We're kind of accustomed to doing these things, but a key to long-term weight management is just rewiring your brain so you can knock that stuff off. And this is one of the biggest challenges people have with long-term weight management, is really just changing your relationship with food. Ultimately, you want to be able to enjoy your food while not being beholden to decisions based purely on taste. So now, before I wrap this up, I included in here a 2018 systemic review of the determinants of weight loss maintenance. It's an excellent paper to reference for those of you that take a more evidence-based approach to things. And as you can see in the infographic above, it addresses the energy balance equation from both ends, intake and expenditure. That's it for now, folks. Like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Remember, the best diet is the one that's sustainable for you, and thanks for watching.